Hey everyone, this is Brett from Link Digital again, and I am going to show you today how to install CKAN 2.10, the new version of CKAN that came out a couple of weeks ago. And I'm going to show you how to install it in a package format. And I'm going to be following the normal instructions for 2.10, the online instructions for installing CKAN. So we go to the Maintainer's Guide, go to Installing CKAN. We see the three methods of installing CKAN: package, source, and using Docker. So from this screen, we go to the package install, and I have a new Ubuntu 22.04 virtual machine running on my Mac OS box, and let's just follow the instructions and see how we go. Okay, so the first thing we do is we run the app update command. And this can take a little while, as we can see. Okay, that's finished. Let's see what the next instruction is. Okay, so we're going to install some of the system packages now. Going to install libpq5, the Redis server, Nginx, and Supervisor. So let's run that. The internet connection that I'm using here, I'm actually in New Zealand at the moment, and the internet connection can be a little slow at certain times. Not really deathly slow, but slow enough to make a difference to what I'm used to in Berlin. But we will get there. Here we go. So it's back. Okay, so those system packages are installed. Let's go back to the instructions, and now because we're running on a Ubuntu 22.04 virtual machine, this is the command to get the deb package file. And yeah, so the difference between the 20 is just the name of the actual operating system. Focal or Jammy. Jammy's the 22.04 distribution. Okay, so that's done. Great. Now we're going to install it next. Now with this command, I'm actually going to run it with another option is I'm going to force install it. Which will make sure that everything in this package file, this deb package file, will be installed over whatever is currently on the system. And it's a good safe way to make sure that everything that's in the package will get installed. I have seen running this command without force or will actually not install some things. So this is a good way to make sure that we have a clean environment. Okay, that looks good. So the next thing we do is we want to install the database, our Postgres CKAN database. And this takes a little while. Solr and Postgres can take a little while to install, especially when the network is not blazing fast. Come on. Hopefully it's not too much longer. Okay, it's finished. Brilliant. Now, the next thing we do is we just check to make sure the install looks good from a database point of view. We should see 3 databases there. Yeah, we do. Postgres template 0, template 1. Okay, so the next thing we do is we're going to create the database user that we use, which is the CKAN _ default user. Oops. So the password we're going to use is CKAN 2.10. CKAN 2.10. Great. Next thing is we actually create the CKAN database, the Postgres database, with this command, and we are creating it as with this user. So the name of the database and the name of the user, the owner, is the same, CKAN _ default. Great. So if we run the psql -l command, we'll see that the CKAN _ default database exists. Fantastic. Okay, so the next thing we do, so the database is looking good. What we need to do now is we need to update the CKAN configuration file, ckan.ini, with the new password that we just put in when we created that user. And we need to find the line, this line here, the SQL alchemy.url parameter name, and the value is the string. So we want to change PASS to CKAN 2.10. Save that. Now the next thing we do, I think, is we're going to install Solr. Now with Solr we have 2 different ways to install now. The first way is to install Solr using Docker, so I have a Docker container running Solr, and the other way is to install manually. We're going to install it manually, and so that means we need to install OpenJDK, which does take a while too. Well, a bit quicker than I thought. Okay, great. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to get hold of the Solr distribution, and I so happen to have got that already. We see it here. That's the file, the archive file that I picked up from the Solr site. So if we go here to this link to the Solr downloads, we see that the binary release is available from here, from this site here, from this URL. So I've done that already, and I actually put it on the system, so I don't have to worry about showing you that bit. So the next thing we need to do is we need to pull out, strip the install Solr service script that is contained in that archive file, and that's the script that we're going to run to install Solr on this virtual machine. Great, so we see we now have this script extracted, so we can run this now with this command, and this will install Solr on this virtual machine. I'm not sure how often Solr new minor versions come out. 8.11.2 is being around now for a few weeks, so I don't know. But whatever, something close to 8.11 point whatever, or 8.12, or sorry, I'm not really sure exactly what the versioning is, but as long as we stick with Solr 8, I think we're going to be totally fine. Okay, so that looks good. Looks like installed. We're going to just check it though with the service status command for the Solr packet, for the Solr service, and we don't see any errors. It looks good. Okay, so the next thing we do, excuse me, is we're going to create a new Solr core called CKAN. Great, looks good. Create a new core CKAN. Now the next thing is we want to get the CKAN schema file and rename it on this machine called manage schema. This is what we're doing in this command. That looks good. And the next thing we do is we restart Solr. Okay, looks fine. No errors by the look. Now what we'll do is we'll actually see what happens when we run a wget on this particular local URL. This is the Solr system running, and see what happens. And that looks pretty good. It looks like Solr is running, and yep, you can see that. Yep, Solr app, admin app. Okay, so Solr looks good. The next thing we do is we want to create where a directory where CKAN will be writing particular files. Okay, so valid CKAN default. And we want to change the ownership of that to be the www.data user, and change the ownership of that as well as in the instructions. And so that now it's saying here to actually update the CKAN config file, the CKAN.ini file, but we've already done that, so we don't need to. So the next thing we do is we want to initialize the Postgres database with this command, sudo CKAN db init. So this will initialize the Postgres database that we have for CKAN. Hopefully. Great. Okay, so that looks good. Now that we've installed all the components, etc., etc., we're going to reload the supervisorctl stuff. So there's a whole lot of services that are running under controller supervisor, and we're going to just, because we've made configuration changes, etc., etc., and there we're going to have to reload all those and make sure that those services are okay. They do take a while. To come up. Okay, so now we see that they're all running, so that's looking pretty good. There's 3 services that we see here. We see the UI, the CKAN UI, this one here. We see the worker process running, and we also have a data pusher system that's part of the package install as well, and they all seem to be running and all seem to be good. So now the last thing we do here is we will restart Nginx. And that's pretty good. Now the next thing we do, they should all be running now. Everything should be running okay. So what we'll just check by going to the virtual machine itself and running a browser. And just seeing if we can get a login screen. Firefox does take a while to come up on this. I assume that it's running. Oh, here we go. So it is. Okay, got it. So let's just see if CKAN comes up. Here we have it. So CKAN looks like it's actually running well. So now we could create a user and log in, etc., but I'll save that for another video. But I'm happy that everything looks pretty good, and we have CKAN 2.10 running using the package format. So thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again. Bye.